We all want to live the best version of our lives, and in doing so, in looking at your life, maybe you look to be more positive in your life. Well, I have to say that through my experience, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of positivity, of positive thinking, because we have absolutely no control over the nature of our thoughts. So if we have no control over the nature of our thoughts, how can we think positively? To look at your thoughts, look at your mind maybe from a slightly different perspective. Your thoughts arise into the stillness and into the sanctity of your mind space. And without your involvement, without denying, without pushing the thoughts away, they will soon dissolve and dissolve back into that stillness. And these thoughts, they can be positive thoughts, they can be negative thoughts. As I say, we have no control over the nature of our thoughts. You can consider each and every thought in a way as an uninvited guest. So instead of trying to be positive or to think positively, which is impossible and it's absolutely exhausting as well, when you become more familiar with the nature of your thoughts, indeed the nature of your mind, well then you can come to acknowledge the thoughts that will serve you in the here and now. And recognising the thoughts that serve you in the here and now, you acknowledge, you accept those thoughts. But at the same time, we can be aware of the more negative aspects of our thoughts. And to be honest with you, most thoughts tend to lean towards the negative side of things. I don't know why. I've asked many people over the years and I've heard many different replies, different answers. I've heard things from, I remember a doctor telling me once that we think negatively because if we were happy-go-lucky back when we were cavemen, back into prehistory, if we're just skipping along happy-go-lucky and we're unaware, well then some big wild animal could jump out and eat you. Well, I don't know if that's the nature of why we tend to err towards the negative, or maybe if your mind is looking to grab your attention, maybe we're more drawn towards drama. That's why newspapers sell, that's why the things that you see on the internet, they grab your attention. So, but I'm not here to talk about the nature of the mind and why our minds act in such a way, but by familiarising yourself with the way your mind works, the nature of your thoughts, you'll see that there are certain patterns. Your thoughts cluster. And even though there are no two thoughts are the same, they can be of a similar theme. And these themes are usually pertain to the same old stories. Childhood, not being loved enough, your work, your employment, your family. Relationships, always a big one. And there's nothing wrong with reflecting or contemplating where you are in your life. But the tendency there is it embellishes that thought process, and usually that negative thought process. It snowballs, it gathers momentum. And so different practices, meditation, pranayama, the breathing, the breath work, I find is especially a useful tool in just coming to terms, to accepting, to acknowledge who you are, at least the idea of who you are, because it's constantly changing. And so when you sit with yourself or when you walk along, become the witness, the observer, and you'll find that to witness your life is ever so subtly different from thinking about your life. So when you witness your mind, you're acknowledging the thoughts as they arise, and it gives you a split second as the thoughts arise then, a nanosecond even, And in that split second, in that nanosecond, you can either accept the thought, you can acknowledge the thought if it's serving you in the here and now, or you recognise that the thought isn't serving you, and without denying, without pushing away, if you let the thought go, it soon dissolves back into the stillness, back into the sanctity of your mind space. Now, again, my experience of this is when I first explored these different approaches to life, approaches to myself, I found it hard work. I was overly observant, trying to almost preempt the thoughts as they arose, when, do you know, it's simplicity in itself, whereas thinking requires energy. To witness, to observe, is effortless. So, I'm not telling you to be negative, but don't try to be positive, because our emotional states will always simply and spontaneously arise within the moment. And we witness, we experience the process. So welcome those positive aspects of yourself, of your mind, and at the same time, again, without denying, without pushing away, you let go as much as you can of the more negative aspects of your mind, the more negative thoughts that arise. So it's not trying to be positive, you're just being, in a way, a little more selective of what you choose to acknowledge, to accept. And therein is a great empowerment, because where we have, as I've said before, we have no control over the nature of our thoughts, but to some degree, and sometimes, not always, we can become aware of our reaction to any particular thought, and there lies a great power in that processing, in that witnessing. So try not to make your practice a chore. You're not waiting, you're not looking to improve upon yourself, because that's a projection. You're always waiting to be this better version of yourself. It's the simple, loving acceptance, the acknowledgement of yourself and your connection with this phenomenal world around us in the here and now. Well, thank you for listening to my words. And if you like the video, please like, subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, buy me a coffee if you want to help to support the channel. I'd love to spend more time dedicated to this channel and to sharing my thoughts, my musings and my practices. So, thank you.